Welcome to the React Chat UI component tutorial. The Chat UI is a lightweight and highly customizable component designed for creating modern chat interfaces. It displays conversations between two or more users, offers powerful features like real-time typing indicators, on-demand message loading, and message suggestions, and provides great user experience. In this video, I'll show you how to integrate the React Chat UI component into your React app. You'll learn to configure messages, set up group conversations, customize avatars, and add timestamps with time break indicators. Before moving forward, make sure you have installed the latest version of Node.js and React. I'll edit my code using Visual Studio Code and show the output in the Chrome browser. Let's start the application creation process. I open Visual Studio Code and create a React application using the command npx create React app, naming my project My React App. Since I want to add TypeScript, I include the template TypeScript option. Now, the React project with all the dependencies is created. Next, let me navigate to the project folder. To use the React Chat UI, I need to install the Chat UI component package using the command npm install at Syncfusion /ej2react interactive chat --save. The application is now ready to use. First, I must register the trial license key to use Syncfusion components. So, I open the index tsx file and import the register license method from the Syncfusion ej2 base package. Using this method, I register the trial license key. To learn how to generate this license key, refer to the link in the description below. The application is now configured to use Syncfusion components. Next, to integrate the Chat UI, I navigate to the app.tsx file and remove the default code. I import the Chat UI component from Syncfusion ej2 React Interactive Chat, which contains all the functions required to display and interact with Syncfusion's Chat UI component, and define the Chat UI in the application. I provide an ID called Chat UI, which can be used later to access the instance or apply styles programmatically. Also, change the class name to container. To apply styles, I navigate to the app.css file, remove the default styles, and add necessary CSS references by importing the Tailwind theme. Next, I define the properties to align the Chat UI component. I set the height to 380 pixels, width to 450 pixels, margin left to 400 pixels, and margin top to 50 pixels. At this stage, I haven't added any dynamic messages or customization. This setup is the minimum requirement to render the Syncfusion Chat UI successfully in a React app. I save the changes and run the application using the npm start command. On the output screen, you can see that the Chat UI component is rendered and fully configured in the React application. The next step is adding a conversation. To add the chat conversation, I import the messages directive, which acts as a container for all the messages, and the message directive represents each message. Next, I define two user models. These objects represent chat participants. Each user has a unique ID and a username. To add chat conversations, I've included the messages directive inside the Chat UI component. Every message is added using the message directive. Next, I add the text property, which defines the actual message content so that I can assign a message to this property. Lastly, I add the author attribute and assign it developer user model. The author attribute inside the message directive refers to the sender of each message. In this example, I've created a simple conversation between two users, a developer and a product manager. Next, I bind the user property with the developer user model. By setting this, the UI knows that the developer is the one currently using the app. To enhance the Chat UI, I will change the title of the component. I set the header text property to project discussion. Next, I add an icon to the header to make it appear more professional, and set the header icon CSS property to eIcon's ePeople. Since this is an interaction-based chat, I've chosen an icon that represents people. Let's check the output. You can see that the conversation between users is being displayed with the customized header and icon resembling a human figure. Next, I will show you how to configure a group conversation in Chat UI. In this example, I will add a tester as the third participant and assign a unique ID and name. I then update the chat user messages list to include the tester's message, reflecting their contribution to the discussion. In the output, the Chat UI displays the group conversation with messages assigned to the respective participant. Next, I will demonstrate how to customize the user avatar in the React Chat UI component. There are 3 ways to customize the avatar. To add a profile picture, use the avatar URL property. Change the background color. Use the avatar background color property. Customize the overall appearance using the CSS class property. In this example, I will add a profile picture for the tester. To know how to use the other 2 ways, check the documentation link provided in the description below. Before proceeding, make sure to add a profile picture to your project to customize the Chat UI. Then, set the avatar URL property to the tester field and specify the correct path to the picture. Look, the tester's profile picture now appears in the Chat UI. Next, I will show you how to manage timestamps in the React Chat UI component. Timestamps are essential features in a chat interface. They provide context for when messages were sent, helping participants track the conversation's timeline. By default, this property is set to true so that timestamps are shown. To disable timestamps, set the Show Timestamp property to false. Looking here, the messages are displayed without timestamps, creating a cleaner chat interface. Next, I will demonstrate how to customize the timestamp format. Before proceeding, I remove the Show Timestamp property as they will be visible once the format is set. To dynamically include them in the message list, I add the timestamp property to each message in the list. This displays the exact time each message was sent or received, enhancing the context of the conversation. Then, I set the timestamp format property to display the month name, hours, and minutes in a 12-hour format. Now, the Chat UI displays messages with timestamps formatted as specified. Next, let's move on to using time breaks in a Chat UI. To add date-wise separations between messages, set the Show Time Break property to true. By default, the value is false, which means time breaks are disabled unless explicitly enabled. See, messages are grouped into different time slots with time breaks visible when there is a significant gap between messages. Let's wrap up this video. I have shown you how to add a Syncfusion chat component to a React application, customize the Chat UI, implement message sending functionality, customize the user avatar, and configure timestamps and time breaks in the React Chat UI component. If you want to try out the example used in this video, you can download it from the GitHub link in the description below. I have also shared a link to learn how to obtain a free license key to use our React components through our community license if you are eligible. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, like and subscribe to our channel.